Noah Hill High School in Harrow has had specialist arts status since 2002. It was successfully redesignated in 2007.
It's allowed us to do some amazing creative things with the children and also to improve teachers' skills.
It's built upon and enhanced the teaching and learning for all our pupils.
It's actually enriched what we do. It's actually made things better.
Specialist status for secondary schools was introduced by the government as part of its drive to raise attainment and achievement across the whole curriculum. Schools can choose from 10 specialisms, and the aim is that all secondary schools will eventually have specialist status. King's Langley School in Hertfordshire has yet to gain specialist status. Getting the bid into shape is one of the most pressing items on the governing body's agenda.
King's Langley School is now bidding for a general arts specialism. 18 months ago we submitted a media arts bid, but at that time unfortunately our results trends were not strong enough for us to be considered for specialist status. But now they are, and so we're really looking forward to submitting this bid.
We're taking Frances on a fact-finding mission to Noah Hill High School to see what tips she can take back to her governing body.
Hello Maureen.
Hello
Frances.
Maureen Chappell is the Arts College coordinator and a drama teacher at Noah Hill. She worked extensively on the specialist bid.
So Maureen, as soon as you come into the school you're hit by all this beautiful artwork. We can certainly tell that this is a specialist arts school. How long did it take you, do you think, before the cultural feel of the school changed as a result of your bid?
I would say about 2 years. By that time we'd managed to get a lot of the paintings up on the walls and in various other classrooms and so on to try to support people's learning environment.
Frances is well aware that specialist status brings with it a useful sum of money, £129 per pupil per year, as well as a capital sum of £150,000, which includes £50,000 sponsorship.
So you get a capital sum, don't you?
Yes.
Can you let me know what you actually spent that on?
Because we were in partnership with another school, we only had £75,000, so that wasn't enough for an actual new build. So what we had to do was refurbish an existing building, and we chose to do the actual art department.
John Butterworth is head of art and a staff member of the governing body.
And what we were actually able to do was to actually extend the rooms, take another classroom that wasn't needed from another subject area of the school, give ourselves the much larger IT space that we've got, increase all the size of the actual classrooms, and then within the classrooms we were actually able to make one of them a dedicated ICT suite that's just used within art and media studies in the school.
I wonder if you could tell me just how the art specialism came to being in this school. Did you have a lot of debate at governors' meetings?
The arts subjects in terms of art, drama and music have always been very, very strong in the school. They've always done well, been very popular choices with students. And I think because of the way the arts is seen within the school and its community, the governors were really supportive to actually use the arts status to be the one.
So it's pretty much an obvious choice.
I think so, that's the way that we did it, yeah.
Right.
The choice of specialism is very much about choosing strengths of the school and areas that are going to not just improve themselves but also drive whole school improvement forward.
Assembling a bid for specialist status is a huge task.
This was the original bid. Obviously there's stuff in here for 2 schools, but even so it's absolutely massive, really detailed, our history, what we propose for the future, why we thought we could achieve certain things, all our sponsors, representatives, everything, all in there. So it took us months really to do it, didn't it?
And did you have much time off timetable to do it?
Yeah, a considerable amount of time was actually taken off timetable, which I think was a sensible decision to make, because there's obviously various sort of consultancy companies that will actually write bids for you and guide you. But one of the things that we really wanted to in the first instance, and I think it was the governors that kind of drove this, is we really wanted it to be our bid, didn't we, for our school.
We could be far more focused on the needs of our school, our staff, our community and, most important, our pupils.
As well as guidance from the governors, John and Maureen also had help from the Specialist Schools and Academies Trust.
There are a number of events that we run, for example what we call a bidding workshop, where we take schools through in detail what's required in each section of the application form. We offer to screen applications for schools free of charge and comment so that they have a chance to revise those and strengthen them before they actually submit them.
One thing King's Langley has struggled with a little bit is the sponsorship, actually getting that initial £50,000. Do you have any tricks you can give us as to how to get that money in?
It's difficult in our location because we don't have big sponsors, but we're quite fortunate to have several smaller sponsors who want to be involved in school activities.
So Maureen, where in the end did you find your sponsorship money from?
We've got it from a local builder, we got it from a local company that's quite a big company in the area, and also from a local charity which supports arts ventures.
A lot of schools do find sponsorship difficult. A lot depends on what area you're in and whether there are lots of business opportunities around. If a school can really show that it's tried for 12 months, all possible avenues to get the money has not been successful, there is then a partnership fund which is administered by the Specialist Schools and Academies Trust that the school can apply to have the money they've raised topped up to the £50,000.
The challenge for specialist schools is to find ways in which the specialist subject can improve learning in other areas. At Noah Hill, all departments can apply for funds for projects involving the arts.
So there's another song, Goodbye, Goodbye. So we could look at maybe that one and who that's aimed at and when that would be sung as well. That would be
The Arts College Fund is paying for a music teacher to work with a history teacher on a scheme of work for Year 9s about the First World War.
Yeah, we could actually look at perhaps picking out a song from each year, looking at the lyrics specifically to see how things were changing.
I've always enjoyed using the arts in history and in politics as well, and I've already done some work with music before, so for example looking at what we can learn about communism through songs. So this kind of was a natural progression in many ways, and to actually kind of use the expertise of a music teacher is absolutely excellent.
And I know this is a really tough one, but can you actually measure a difference and an improvement in history standards as a result of the art specialism?
In terms of measuring it, I think we've found that quite difficult at the moment, but in terms of just looking at pupil enjoyment and how much they're interested and engaged with it, then I think we've definitely noticed a real marked improvement.
Decorating the walls of the history room with black and white portraits of historical and contemporary figures is another specialist school project.
When they walk into this classroom at the moment, students are buzzing when they're talking about who's new on the wall, who they want to see on the wall, and the connections between different people that appear on the wall.
You've got people from like Hitler to Gordon Brown, and I think it's just interesting having lots of different people.
It helps to put a face to the name sometimes, and it actually helps to have these figures. You think, oh, well, I sit next to her in history, she's up on the wall, so I know all about her.
And when maths teachers felt that their corridor was drab, they put in a bid for money from the Specialist Fund to brighten it up. The result was this mural, painted by students featuring great mathematicians.
I remember walking down this corridor on my interview, and I was actually impressed by these pictures and how it stimulates, how it can be used to stimulate learning. Within our lessons, when we bring up topics, we do prompt the students to go and have a look at these mathematicians. And to be honest with you, there's some mathematicians who are not included here, where students have realised, and they've come to us saying, well, Miss, this person needs to be put there and that person needs to be put there. So I think it has had an overall impact on the learning of mathematics.
So now we need to use both hands, and we're going to do those two sounds together with our marshmallow and donuts. Can I just get you to watch me? So it goes marshmallow and donuts, marshmallow and donuts. That's good. We're going to speed it up.
Working with other schools and the wider community with a view to developing learning opportunities is a central requirement of specialist status. Today, children from a local middle school are at Noah Hill to work with a music teacher on an African drumming project.
Because of what we're able to do in terms of expertise, the school has purchased a whole lot of African drums for the children to use. So that'll be a huge improvement in their understanding of world music.
But Maureen has found establishing projects in the community the most challenging aspect of specialist status.
In community groups, very often the population is very transient. So you audit them, you find out what they say they would like, you set it all up, you get somebody along, and then you find that the original personnel have gone and they no longer want that, they want something different. It's quite easy to do a one-off, but it's to actually make it be an ongoing project that is actually much, much more difficult.
So what has the school achieved?
We have a local daycare centre, and we tried to get some various things happening there, but nothing really happened because of the change of personnel, etc. So we went down, we took photographs of all the elderly people who were there, and then we created this wall hanging for them with pictures of them done in various styles like Andy Warhol and so on. And that has really brightened up their foyer space. We ran the local arts festival last year, which obviously the whole of the local community was invited to. We've just joined up with extended schools and we're starting to run community projects after school.
After 4 years, every specialist school has to apply for redesignation.
In order to get redesignated, a school would need to show that it's made a success of its previous phase of specialism and has the right kind of plans going forward.
High school was successfully redesignated 6 months ago.
So Maureen, I see that little slim document on top of the first bid. That must be your redesignation document.
That's the one.
It was a much shorter period of time in terms of completing the paperwork. I mean, the most important thing is to actually do an audit of the good practice that's actually occurred so far and to look at the real strengths within that. Obviously, you need to recognise the weaknesses and see if you can actually improve upon those, which then formulates the actual new bid.
Catherine, can you tell me what part the governors played in the redesignation process?
Well, by that time, the governors were totally confident that Maureen and John would be able to put together the appropriate bid. So they did the work and we received copies of drafts, etc., which we were able to comment upon. So it's an ongoing support that we're giving.
The good news is that the redesignation process has changed and is now much more straightforward.
Now redesignation is triggered whenever the school has an Ofsted inspection, and after the Ofsted inspection they then have to send in their self-evaluation form and their school development plan. There's no separate application form now, and it's on the basis of those documents the decision is made to whether to redesignate the school or not.
Noah Hill High School can also aspire to higher performing status, which brings with it even more money.
Higher performing status is something that schools can achieve again at an Ofsted inspection. All grade 1 Ofsted schools would be designated as high performing schools. Those that get a 2, which is a good overall grade, would have to meet one additional criterion. High performing status means you can take on an additional responsibility, and that might be a second subject specialism, or it could be becoming something like a training school or being a vocational school. The extra funding is, in round terms, an extra £60 per pupil per year, but there is money on top of that again if you become a language college or if you become a vocational college.
So I guess the million-dollar question is, has your arts specialism raised attainment in all areas of your school?
Absolutely. Our GCSE raw scores last year were the highest the school has ever got. And without a shadow of a doubt, the arts have impacted on that. They've directly impacted because of the attainment within art, music, dance, drama, media studies, but also in other subject areas that have actually been enriched by the work that we've actually done.
So what does Frances take away with her?
Well, I've had a fantastic day here at Noah Hill. It's taught me a lot of things, but I think there's two main things that I'll take away. The first is that I'm now convinced that an art specialism is exactly right for King's Langley School. And the other thing, which I'm really pleased about, is that clearly having an art specialism can have a full impact in all subjects across the school.